The world of politics, and recently we had the Azimio side threatening to take the Inspector General of Police to the ICC. They have also said that they are going to add the name of Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President, on that. Listen to the Inspector General responding to that.
Us as the National Police Service, we are not at all intimidated by those letters. Therefore, I wish to request my fellow members of the National Police Service not to be intimidated at all.
All right. So, Honorable Mbowe, so you have evidence, or you want ICC to come and investigate and find the evidence that he's guilty of some of those accusations you've leveled?
You know, sometimes I feel like I sound like a broken record when I say I am a victim of this political and police violence. Mm-hmm. And the same gentleman that has just spoken was at that time holding the office that Bungei is holding in the city when they attacked us and provoked, broke our car windows, shot tear gas canisters into our vehicles, removed the screen of my vehicle, the windscreen of my vehicle with those very strong water bowsers, and then finally proceeded to break my leg. And I think this cannot continue forever and unchallenged. And let me say that, you know, it's very interesting when you listen to leaders like the Inspector General, mm-hmm. when in the middle of that conversation, and I wish you played it up to the end, when he starts now making it a tribal issue and says, oh, you know, maybe we are being targeted because we belong to a certain region. It's very unfortunate, and that's why it tells us that maybe that's a reason that they are ruthless against us, because they have some vendetta against us. I want to say that we have been doing peaceful demonstrations. I have demonstrated this over and over, that mm-hmm. every single time we say that we are going out to meet our people and the police do not get involved, we have very, very peaceful meetings. We had a meeting in the middle of Nairobi city in Jivanji Gardens on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And there were thousands of Kenyans, and we said exactly the same things we say in those demonstrations, and then we walked back to Parliament. No shop was broken into and nothing went wrong, simply because the police were not involved. But every time we attempt to have a peaceful demonstration, the police come and attack us. And then you listen to them, the police keep telling us that, oh, they are protecting people's property. You tell me, because I think the media have been very gracious, because all the demonstrations have been aired live, in fact, most of them. You tell me, when did you see Raila Amolo Odinga holding a stone, or Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka breaking into a shop? But I will show you numerous clips where their vehicles are tear-gassed, Raila's car is shot at, and you know, violence is meted against them. Mm-hmm. So the police are not doing their work. The police are supposed to ensure that the demonstrations are peaceful. So what they are supposed to do is stand aside and let demonstrators pass. But every time they see demonstrators, they break up the demonstrations. Mm-hmm. They break up the meetings, which is against our constitution. I think this team needs to go to ICC. I think they have, a lot of lives have been lost. A lot of property has been destroyed. But let's talk about the lives. You go back to 2017, 2022, every single time there's an election and people want attempt to demonstrate, they are killed. The other day, there was a simple demonstration in Chuka town. And I think there were complaints by border riders. Mm-hmm. And the police went and used live bullets and shot the chair of the border whatever team. And you want to tell me that our Kenyan investigators, ballistic experts, cannot tell us which gun shot that bullet. And yet you know very well, for every Kenyan holding a firearm and the police holding firearms, they must go through ballistic tests so that they can be able to identify who shot. How come up to now, there is, you know, we keep being taken around in circles. So every Kenyan who has been shot, the police know who shot that person. Mm. But they're doing nothing against it. That's why they must go to ICC.
Right. And let me speak to Senator Sotsi here, because the communication to the ICC lists 9 people that died and some 20 injuries, but also lists a number of journalists who were caught in between. And you're accusing Japhet Koome of perpetrating targeting journalists covering demonstrations to deny Azimio coalition media coverage and assist in the derogation of the rights of their members. I mean, so again, the same question, because it is easy to accuse, but do you have the evidence that can stand trial at the ICC?
Some. You know, I remember on this station, you aired one police, you showed one police man trying to break the window of one of the cars where journalists were, and even shot tear gas inside there. It was very clear on the screen, and Kenyans saw that. And we know that we also had police people in plain cloth who are there to target the journalist. I have a journalist friend in Kisumu called Nabiswa, who was beaten and injured and hospital. In fact, they broke one of his ribs by a plainclothes policeman. And then they came and turned around and said those were goons. You know what happened is that they planted the plainclothes policemen and some goons in our demonstration to beat journalists.
Who did that?
The Kenya Kwanza regime. To beat journalists. How do you know
that is true?
Yeah, I'm giving you an example, and you saw it. You saw even one of the plainclothes policemen shooting.
No, you just said that
at
planted,
I have given you an example. I have given you an example of what happened in Kisumu, where this journalist, who is known to many people, was attacked by a police officer in plainclothes, posing as a goon. Huh? Yeah. So we have the evidence, and this station has been very good to Kenyans because it has shown.
Senator Sotsi, you've said that the Kenya Kwanza administration planted guns in your demonstrations. Who exactly?
Police in plainclothes were involved in some of this violence that you saw, targeting the journalist, and that is there. So the evidence is there.
So the guns are police officers?
Yeah, if you are a police officer and you are doing things which are contrary to your practice, to your profession, who are you? You are a goon. Huh? We saw it.
And you think this is not? We saw it. This cannot be prosecuted in Kenya through a poor DPP?
Let me just finish my point. The issues we are raising is we are raising crimes against humanity.
Right.
And the best court that addresses matters of crime against humanity is ICC. You have heard the kind of sentiments that have come from Koome. You have heard the kind of sentiments that have come from Rigathi. Rigathi even at one point said that tunaenda kumalizana na Raila. He said that. And we have seen even the destruction of property. You saw the goons who were taken to Kenyatta's farm. So
what did you understand
in Ruiru? The destruction of property.
Statement, what did you understand it to be?
When you say tutamalizana na Raila, what does that mean?
I'm asking you.
It means you are going to kill him. It means you are going to kill him. And they attempted to shoot at Raila's car 7 times. So the point is that Azimio has every right to subject this matter to the ICC. So because clearly there were crimes against humanity, people died, and all those people who had died were shot by the police.
Do you don't want to pursue that in the Kenyan system?
No, because the right court to address that matter is ICC.
Okay.
Crimes against humanity is a matter which is the mandate of the ICC. And Koome, I want to tell him today.
Let's listen to the IG himself on what he said about this particular issue.
Hata ukisema nini enda huko. I have patriotic police officers who will take over from me and do the job. There's somebody who lost 20 million in one day. Is that letter, has that been mentioned? Or is just mentioning Koome to intimidate him? That will not happen. I will not be intimidated.
Okay, so Honorable Koech, your
maybe before you go to Koech.
I'll give another opportunity. Let me hear him first. He's been quiet. Your thoughts about what is going on. But secondly, why would an Inspector General of Police be engaging with a political party in a political process? I've not seen this before with other Inspector Generals.
What do you mean?
He's responding to political.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And he's supposed to be independent.
Allow me, Honorable Sotsi, to speak. You will have your time. I'm sure, first of all, he needs a high five, IG Koome, because I think at some point we're also human beings. Police has become autonomous financially. We've allowed them an autonomy, and I'm sure he was responding to continued allegations of police brutality and many other issues that have been raised by this side of Azimio. Number one is that ICC is not a very small matter. I see my colleagues here talking about ICC as if it's a very small matter, because they've never experienced ICC and they think it's just walking into a shower and coming out. It's an extremely complex and mind-torturing process that we should not even be thinking about. And for ICC, there's a threshold for any offense to be admissible in ICC. You just don't have a quarrel with your neighbor and think that you can write to ICC to come and intervene. So all this is just one of those talks that, for me, I will call it wasteful and unnecessary petty talk. Let us get to the gist of the matter. Why, first of all, are we having the police? Mm-hmm. It is because there are people who have refused. These are not mandamanos. They are mandamanos that you can tell are mandamanos. These are things that are affecting our daily lives. People cannot generate income. People cannot sell. Children cannot go to school because there's a group of people who want to be violent. Why, ask yourself, why today the police are just peaceful? There is no violence whatsoever anywhere in this country. But if they are going to go to Mandamano from next week, Monday, you can be very sure that on Sunday evening, the schools will be sending messages to parents that please do not bring your children to school, because it is known that these people are not doing Mandamano. These are people who are keen on creating violence and using weapons and harassing mamambogas and everyone. So my point is, give me time. Just give me time.
Yeah, we cannot allow him to just...
You've said so much. I'm just telling you what you are.
Let's be orderly.
You're totally out of order. Just give me my space.
But as you carry on, I want to understand from you, have you seen any excessive use of force by the police? Have you seen any crimes committed by the police?
Where there has been excessive force by the police, like you rightly said, should look at it. I agree with it. Police should not use excessive force. But what do? You look at a video that was taken by one of the journalists in I think it was in Madere, where police officers literally have to jump over the fence from a group that is charging at them with stones, and they want to hurt them. The police are human beings. So where there is threat to their life, of course, there is a response. And that is why I'm saying, why does it get there? What is the problem? Why can't we have a coordinated way of Mandamano? But if you ask me today, I will say, if people want to have Mandamano and demonstrate, why can't we just allow them some space somewhere and where there is no disruption of lives? Of our normal lives. Give them a stadium, maybe Nyayo Stadium, you go and demonstrate there, air your views like it is done even in the UK. It's serious. There's a corner in the UK or even in the US where people who want to demonstrate can go there and demonstrate and give the day they want to go and demonstrate and do it peacefully and go back. What we are seeing are not peaceful demonstrations. These are destruction of property. Look at Kisumu. Some hooligans walk into a supermarket, or some innocent young fellow take everything from the supermarket and you call it a peaceful demonstration. Look at how much violence is meted on the people of Madare when the party leader drives in there and people are left dying. Look at Kibera. I saw people come out yesterday in the media, it was even in the Nation newspaper, saying that we were in Kibera, Honorable Raila Odinga had promised that our businesses, some of them were burned down. He had promised that he was coming to rebuild them, but he has not been seen. So IG Koome is simply saying, listen, I do not care. Come and demonstrate. Do your mandamano, but do it peacefully. Anything that is interfering with the constitutional right of another individual must be dealt with the force that it deserves. Okay. So all I'm saying, Sam, as I conclude, is let us be fair to the people of this country. And I really want to beseech my colleagues that let us give dialogue some chance. Let us not have this country go to the dogs. And these people understand that our economy is extremely fragile at the moment. What they want to do is to sink that economy, to sink our economy. When this economy sinks, it sinks with all of us. Let us just be people who are mature. Let us raise our concerns in a soberly manner. Let us argue and agree to disagree. Okay. But let us not put this country on the path of destruction.
Honorable Wako, how do we resolve, because there appears to be a lot of suspicion in politics, so maybe that's what drives politics, I don't know, I'm not a politician, but what do we do at a time that there's so much to deal with as a country? Like he says, yes, the economy is hurting, there are the concerns that they have expressed themselves, but also the very, very serious matter about crimes that are committed against Kenyans by police and on the police by Kenyans. How do you resolve it? Is it the ICC route? Is it local? What?
Thank you, Sam. We have all the organs in place to deal with these matters. And the issue of police brutality, it is not the first time that as a country we are experiencing. That is something that we have dealt with, that we have struggled with even in the past. And so it cannot be made a Kenya Kwanza issue today, because it has always been there. Having said that, we have IPOA, we have all the other organs in place to deal with this, because even as a government, we are not happy when we see the ordinary human, the ordinary mwananchi suffering in the hands of police who are supposed to safeguard their lives. But what has happened is in Kenya, we have never even had peaceful demonstrations. You call the demonstrations peaceful, at the end of the day, they turn out to be violent. And I have seen that the Article 37 has been misused by the opposition at this particular time, because they always say we have freedom to demonstrate. That is our right. But they are misusing that right. So if they are misusing that right, then we should even think of how we can come up with an amendment that can help Kenyans to safeguard, to have enough security around their properties, because what we have seen as a country is innocent lives have been lost. Properties have been looted. Can they tell us that those properties were looted by the police? When they were buying stones and throwing stones to people, do they want to tell us that it is the police who distributed or who sold the stones to the people? We saw all those things happening. So people have suffered, and it is not the first time that through demonstrations we are suffering. So I think for the Azimio team, they have misled people and they keep threatening people. The issue of ICC, when we have our respected organs, and even as a region we have our organs that can play that role, why would they rush to ICC? We have that experience in the past. That does not mean that we are at the fault and we are fearing. By the way, I'm sympathizing with them, because at the end of the day, they may be in for what they are calling for today. And they are trying to mislead our people, they are trying to cheat people, they are trying to always, shifting blames will not help us. And I want to finish by quoting one verse from the Bible. Romans chapter 13 verse 1 says, everyone must submit to governing authority, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. I believe Kenya Kwanza has been placed in authority by God. And what Azimio is doing and has been doing in the past is to fight the will of God in this country. And that is not good. In fact, their days are numbered, I think.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
There's another threat.
Let me get in.
What does that mean?
Let me get in at that.
Let me substantiate. Let me substantiate. What I mean is, you cannot continue committing crime. And if you commit crime by calling people to go on the street, demonstrate, destroy people's property, and do all these other things, we have the law that governs us. So if you land into the hands of the police and you are taken to court, then the law will deal with you. That is what I meant. Okay.
Senator Sotsi, you are right of reply.
Let me start by saying this, that we cannot criminalize demonstrations, because they are provided for under Article 37 of the Constitution, that every Kenyan has a right to peacefully, unarmed demonstrate. That's provided for. And Kenya Kwanza has been selling this narrative that our meetings are violent, Our meetings are about destruction of property and all that. We have had 16 or so meetings across the country, and I've attended almost all of them. Honorable Mbui has been there as well. And no single person has been injured in those meetings. No single property has been destroyed. But when we started with the demonstrations, I think Kenya Kwanza changed the strategy. You know, initially, when we were doing this meeting, they said the people may not come, people are tired of politics, your meetings will not attract people. But when they realized the meetings were attracting people, and the huge crowds were there listening because of the issues that we are bringing on table, like cost of living, they changed strategy and decided that they will now interfere with our demonstration. That is why they sent police to try and throw tear gas at people, live bullet, so that you can create a scenario for violence and destruction of property. And we have seen what they have done.
Has there been citizens who've been violent in those demonstrations?
Yeah, a few cases, very limited cases, which we manage in.
What are the police supposed to do with such?
You see, the police are supposed to be there to guard the demonstrators and even those who are not demonstrating. But when we have a scenario where police are barricading all the roads, they are throwing tear gas, even in Nairobi.
Senator Sotsi, if the police, just hold on, I've asked you a question, you're not responding to it. If there are people who are destroying property, who are lighting bonfires on the streets, what are the police supposed to do with them? Bonfires come after the tear gas. They don't come before the tear gas. Let me give you an example in the CBD. When we were in CBD members of parliament, we are very few of us. At KICC, where our offices are, all of a sudden they threw tear gas at us. We were not armed. We were not destroying any property. So such scenarios are the ones which trigger this confrontation between the people and the police. So what we are saying is that the police must not interfere with the demonstration. They are there to provide security, but let them not interfere. On Sunday, when we had our rally, no single property was destroyed. No single person was injured because police did not interfere. We are asking the police to stay away. And in fact, those who are in plainclothes police, they should completely stay away. If there are police who have to appear in our demonstration, there must be police who are in uniform. Because these plainclothes policemen are the ones who trigger all these problems that we have. So what we are saying, our brothers and sisters here, please don't fear demonstration. Demonstrations has contributed to the progress in this country. And you said they're coming back. It is demonstration that brought multi-party. It is the demonstration that brought the new constitution. And it is demonstration that brought all these rights we are having. And when Honorable Nelson Koech says that they are going to have a law to limit all this, you cannot limit the freedom of movement. It is unconstitutional. You cannot limit the freedom of assembly. It is unless you go and change the constitution. There is a judgment of the Bill of Rights that requires the Interior Ministry, the Attorney General, to introduce a law that defines the confines of Article 37. That we will look at it when it comes. But any limitation of the freedom of association, freedom of assembly, freedom to demonstrate, that is against the Constitution will be resisted. Because that will be clawing back the gains that we have made as a country. I know Honorable Mbui wants to say something. There's a question. Can I take feedback, then I start with you? On what Kenyans are saying on Twitter, Citizen TV Kenya, Sam Gituku, the hashtag to use is daybreak, on the conversations we've had this morning. Let's begin by looking at Bob Otieno. You're saying that, truth be told, you can't understand what Azimio Kenya wants. They keep on changing goalposts each and every day with new demands, as Kenya Kwanza have started kujipanga for 2027. Soon Honorable Mbui will, with his Wiper party, will be caught up in a hard rock.
It's true.
Then Engineer Lazaro, sure, no meaningful negotiations will come out of under the current circumstances. Both parties are still stuck to their guns. Why choose Azimio affiliated MPs to lead your bipartisan approach? Team Honorable Koech. Billy Otieno, you're saying sometimes Kenyans aren't concerned about who the IEBC commissioners are, but are more interested in free, fair, and verifiable elections, a team that will allow servers to be opened and cannot be easily manipulated. Okay. Godi Baraza, both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza should be alive to the fact that our constitution is the yardstick that should help in terms of deadlock on any matter, and the case in point here is the IBC question. Let both sides understand what the Green Book says. All right, Keter Alvin, I agree with Honorable Koech. IBC commissioners should not be chosen by politicians, just like players don't choose referees. This is what usually leads to electoral challenges, as the players peg the expectations on the referees, just like we've seen before. Sawe, our elected leaders tend to create laws that serve their immediate interests, only to alter them when they switch positions. What we truly require are selfless leaders who prioritize legislation that propels the country forward for years to come. And Nahashan, you're saying that IBC issue is more crucial and should not be taken lightly. 2017-18, 4 commissioners resigned. 2022, 4 commissioners resigned on the same complaints, and we still turn a black eye, or you mean blind eye on the matter? Why? Those are the concerns that Kenyans are sharing. And clearly you can see that there's that question about what next. You say that you do not trust the parliamentary process, you want a process outside parliament. Already there's a notice of motion. It may be tabled at the Senate as well. So what next?
Yes, I really wanted to answer that ICC question because, you know, when I made my contribution, you had not really asked why ICC. And I think one of the things we must all be alive to the fact is that Kenyans' independent offices are under siege by the executive. In fact, I'll give you some examples where an independent office like the DPP would let loose a murder suspect, a rape suspect, you know, corruption cases, because they are under siege. So we do not trust local systems to be able to give a proper solution. And the Inspector General, in his comments, I listened to him keenly, and he seems to have confirmed his guilt, because the minute he says that when he goes out there, other people can take over his office, that already is a sign of guilt. And maybe I just want to advise him, before we get to there, please just use the police to protect people's property and the lives of Kenyans, and allow demonstrations to proceed as envisioned in the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya.
Okay, it's all right. So you have waived the opportunity to say what next. For you, what next? What must we see for all these processes to end and move on in building our lives?
It is a party leader of Azimio, and that is a person we call upon, that let it be a statesman. He's worked for big time for our democracy, for where we are now. We appreciate his role in making Kenya the country that we have today. But let him not destroy this country that is built. We have children, he has grandchildren. It is important that all of us as a country come together and dialogue and reason, so that we can have a peaceful environment, restart again re-engineering our economy, and making Kenya a better place for investment and for everyone in this country. Let elections not become an element that will divide the people of this country. We will always have elections, but we will remain as one people, as the Kenyan people. Yesterday, our athletes showed us a great statesmanship where all of us celebrated, regardless of who they are, what tribe they came from. That is the Kenyan spirit that we want amongst each and every individual. So I hope that dialogue will unlock all these things, and we pray that actually as a country we can be peaceful and we get back to the track.
Honorable Wako, way forward.
Thank you once again. Number one, Kenya is bigger than any one of us, and we have 50 million people to take care of. And when I say that, it is not only the responsibility of Kenya Kwanza government, but even the opposition, because there are people who faithfully follow them. So they have also many people and many lives in their hands. And as I said, Kenya is bigger than us. Let us be more concerned with the Kenya, with our country, and be patriotic and love our country, because we cannot love our country by destroying, doing demonstration, looting people's property, but we can only love our country when we demonstrate love and unify our country through dialogue, sitting together and reasoning together, solving the problems that affect us and moving on as a country so that we can grow. Kenya plays a very important role in this region, and everyone is looking at us. We can see what is happening in Sudan, which is unfortunate, and we pray that, you know, the situation will calm down. And it is my prayer that our country will not get to some levels. And my prayer is that the Azimio team will also be flexible enough as Kenya Kwanza and be ready to negotiate and sit with us and allow this bipartisan process to kick so that we can get some solution to the problems that they have already raised. Yeah. And our president is ahead of each one of us because the cost of living, we have put all measures in place, and I want to tell Kenyans that soon the cost of living will come down. The price of hunger has already come down, and we are taking control over many things, and very soon our economy will also peak. Let us have hope that God is there for us, and Kenya will continue growing peacefully. Thank you.
The price of hunger has already come down to how much?
150.
159.
159.
Yeah, that's 150. Yeah.
Where is that?
Everywhere in the supermarket, unless they're still trying to sell it high.
Which supermarket? Which brand?
Several. It's calmed down, Sam. Let's not even argue about that.
No, 150, no.
I will go and check and call you.
Okay. I'll take a picture.
Senator Otsotsi, so will you be establishing the bipartisan team in Senate?
I think you asked me what next. My what next is that let us all uphold and respect the Constitution of Kenya by ensuring that whatever we do is within the provisions of the Constitution and respect of the people of Kenya. Bipartisan process, a truly bipartisan process is what we are calling for. As Azimio, we are saying let us have a bipartisan process, but let that process not be divorced from the people of Kenya, because the people of Kenya, under Article 1 of the Constitution, have the sovereign powers, and that power is only delegated to the executive, to legislature, and to judiciary. We cannot assume the supremacy of the people of Kenya without their consent. And that is what is the main point that we are pushing across, and that any good thing that has come up in this country has been through a multi-sectorial approach involving all the key stakeholders. We have seen the way we got our new constitution. We went to Bomas, we went to Naivasha, the way we got to a multi-party, and even the way we solved the post-election aftermath of 2008, it was through a similar process. So we are asking this almighty God that Kenya Kwanza keeps praying all over to descend to Kenya Kwanza and get them to understand the need to involve everyone in this process. We do not want a process that is going to be there just to waste Kenyans' time. We want a truly bipartisan process that will look at the issues affecting Kenyans. First issue, cost of living. Cost of living is a serious issue, and we as Azimio, we are convinced that the Kenya Kwanza is not able or has the capacity to address the issue of cost of living. We are saying that because we look at the policies that have come up with in the recent times to try and address that problem. Those policies are in fact going to make the problem worse. The policy of, for example, government to government deal over importation of fuel is a process that even this afternoon I'm bringing up in the Senate, that we need full disclosure. The process of trying to say that we want to plant maize in another country, a country that has said that even they have a shortfall, Zambia, the issue of fertilizer.
No, Senator, I asked you
issue of fertilizer.
Now you're introducing
I'm making my way forward.
That I won't have time
we are saying
respond.
That the cost of living must not be divorced from the bipartisan talks. It is a serious issue affecting many Kenyans, and we cannot handle it in a very cheap way, the way they are doing. They wake up one morning and say, unga has reduced to 159 shillings. I mean,
Senator,
Kenyans to
you've made your point.
be treated
Senator,
better.
Way forward cannot be a whole passage. Anyway, I'm just looking at the numbers, because you've told me that the price of unga has come down to 159 shillings. I'm not doubting. Maybe it has in the shop that you go to, because what I'm saying, the cheapest unga so far is 167 shillings.
That still has come down.
167 is very reasonable.
Just hold on. I'm not saying it hasn't come down. It is actually cheaper than it was in September 2022 when President William Ruto came to the office. But none is 159 or 150 shillings. The most expensive I'm seeing is 243 shillings, which is the premium brands. Yeah, so there's that. And then another supermarket shows the cheapest to be about 188 shillings. So we're waiting. My name is Sam Gitukus. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for making time for us of this conversation. See you some other time. Bye for now.